Okay. Hello, everyone. Again, I'm excited to see you all today and to see your names. So I think, again, what I'll do is I'll share a little bit of an overview of sort of how our session will go today, and then we'll be able to get started. And then, Dawa, I don't know if you want to translate that now or if I should keep going.
난 소마다스트레스 아니 민가시 통고도 스페야부도 제스 양신제 제거 장스 가시 민마시 통고도 서거 아니 당보들라야 디링가서 아니 진짜나 가래가래 튀기 연데 아니 저지기 yes.
Great. So today it's going to be a little bit different because we are going to do some review and we're going to do some connections between some of the ideas we talked about yesterday. And so I'm especially excited for this part, is that I'm hoping that we'll actually be able to get some ideas for you all when you are teaching your classes or having a workshop, anything like that. But I'm hoping that by the end of our session today, you will actually be able to have at least one, if not more, ideas that you could use, even tomorrow if you wanted to.
다 당보들랑 가서 계산 지금 진짜되고 라야 두스 저정도 지기 인스타 때강라 수치시대 가서 다 그들지아래 아니 두스 가서다 수치시대 그들지대디 이야등 가서 다 럽지야게 달람티다도 그 탑시 가서 지금부터 지기 인스로와 딘스탄발라 네 티랑게 전자데 차리 값스다 제출라 지다 상난인 제중 전자 트립 값스 라버다 지지나 상인 전자 트립 값스 양 지금 배제 동안 유튜브에 지금 탑시 된다 요러와 디나도 마타나라야 지기지기 디나도 지금 알아듣 비기와 두스지데 단다 삼천 최야에서 그러던 진다나 저런 그 삼천 트립 값스 배제 동안 유지가 탑는 디나도 지기스.
And we'll do this with sort of three activities. So our time is going to be separated into three different things. And like I said, it'll be both review, but also sort of learning some teaching techniques so that you can use those in your own classes. The first one is going to be journaling. So we already got started with that yesterday, but we will start with that. We will also talk about teaching with visuals. So using some kinds of images to help share your ideas. And then the last activity that we'll do is going to be combining those two. So we'll talk about how might we be able to do journaling, but also combining that with using some images or visuals.
단단한 순진데 트야데 진데데 디랑 진데데 덤부스물 당샤여스 디나는 지나서 제구만도 커스텀스 지기스 디나라 소데 삼천 트주데 저정 지그레 데강라 아니 당가 저기 제구 간에 저 삼천 트야게 답변라야 아니 가서부터 저 답변된다고 락트지야세 거라 어디서 장긴스다 담보데 개성아 주장셔주고 신지대지 접진지야지 거라 데코티 장긴스 니바텔라야 삼천 트비 값을 당가 저기 아니엔지 거라다 아니엔티 배셔 당가 저 비주얼 나나당가 저 통화여 주기 아니 년친라 스파리 베리라 스파티나도 배셔 당가 저라 어디게 거티 니모토 지긴스 이 심바텔라야가 저기 신지지야 당 아니 년티 이렇게 통화여 주기 년티 배셔 당가 저라 던지차 아니 데이터 당대 당간다 데이터 지기요 베티콜랜드 시작이스.
And so I think with that, let's go ahead and get started with our first activity. What I'll also do, and I've learned this from teaching my classes over the past year, I'll try to put some of the key ideas into the chat. That way, when you're in your breakout rooms, you can look at them and still have an idea of what you need to do.
다단다디 값을 치수 더럭하고 시작되디 아니 가서 드드지로 드드지 값이 바이나 아니 가서 드드지 값을 더지 삼루 당사 조로 그렇게지 면디 단다이텔라 네 진통트사지로 되는 지기 인스턴스 담발라니 치수제라 인도스 딱딱이 아니 드드지고 수고데 그렇게 드드지고 될라야 아니 딱딱 지는 그래티 콜라야 아니 지금 수수 삼루 나니 간다로 지린데 하고 해지데 단다 진통트사 지기 인스.
And this is going to be a continuation, but we're going to spend more time on it, what we started yesterday. And that is generating some ideas for journal prompts that are related to the evidence for evolution.
계산가 준 전자 티치던 내가 bakangshila ani 계산 전자 디준 티치던 로치 인스와 아니 티가르사나 단당가 쪽에 펜줄기 반토탄 료요 주고 펜줄기 반토탄 료요 주고 콜라야 신지 집주고요 바나 신지 티치야게 람튼 로 간다 로치 지기 베스타 람튼 티 간다 로치 지기 지기 베스 람튼 간다 로치 주고 임베티인스.
And to do this, we have a bit more time. So we'll start with you'll go into your breakout rooms and you'll have about 5 minutes to just come up with ideas. I like to say for this, just as many as you can. It doesn't need to be, the best idea. Just try to come up with lots of ideas for about 5 minutes. And then you'll have about 2 more minutes where you're going to pick the one that you'd like to share with everybody.
Tapa Gushajan Stambalaya. Tambotelaya ani chi rukasu suganani wa ruka gosheje kasu rukasu suganani samsu kari chingdo da kama ngagirin la ya samsu katsu chonchon katsu mama chidus desijaro chis ro ne te jela ya ni yanche kama ni pecho tande da kari chiare sena ani chetsugo samsu chonju tegnani ro ani chigta chila ya desijaya ti chila ya sesijaya ti kangi sesijagi imbeti yan chetsugo thachero nas.
And then the last part here, it's also in the chat, is we'll come back to our main group here and we'll have someone from each team share the prompt that you chose and also why you chose that one. And this is with the goal then by the end of it, you all will have come up with your own, but you'll also get to hear from all of the other teams. So if you wanted to use these journaling prompts in a class of your own, then you'll have several ideas, even within the next 20 or 30 minutes.
That Hamadalanga so young chat that someone yampton zombie caps and it's so Rukana ni Michikani tapchi de Nichitu that damsha jugi Sintitia Lamtinchi or what carry in betting Motochigu, your rest Motochinamese, Nichitu Hamagi, the dam guigi jinsen, Karimba, or the end of Shijagu, your restat and then the Rochi Nangu Jinsen Karinsena, Chesu Susula. Any Carso Sosola, any Sinti Hobden Chiagi, that the Lampton Chiopa Kanshila, any Tigan like Mission, like Canada, which do the Niaje, and Tigela, Tamatan Zeneto, Hamalaya, a letter Sinti Hobden Chialaya, and Chilampton Tablet, the Ruching Dua, Sayagi, Samlunalaya, Carso, that Disigura, that Dinado will not church in air to get church dinner which left by yes.
Okay, so I think I'll make the breakout rooms. I'm not sure. I think we will now start to kind of go through and I'll just, of course, I'm going to type them in English here, but this way we can have a little bit of a record. And I think we might be able to find some common themes in your journal prompt ideas as well. So I have the rooms here so that I can see also in case you forgot what room you're in. That's totally fine. But I think let's start with if someone from room 1 wants to share your journal prompt idea and why you chose that.
I think, yeah, it's our group. We have discussed like 3 points, 3 prompts, but we decided to share this point as kind of related to the Professor Miguel's presentation yesterday. That is about the feet that different animals, they all have common, from the mammals to the birds. They have kind of the food they have, but the shapes are different. And the prompt is kind of the question that kind of doubts or the curiosity that is it those feet are related to the gravity of Earth, because all are kind of they're pulled down by the Earth. Is it because of the gravity that they make them grow the feet?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, and I'm paraphrasing these, but so, especially you're talking about foot structure. So are the foot structures coming from kind of a common cause? And then your example is gravity. And then Dawa, do you need to translate this?
that Kampala Kangina Digo, Kogi, Kopati Dodo Yores, the Chashit Sama Yores Korwata, or T. Jumatin Takugi, Chashit Sama Soyor, then Zotati, the Dochi Choyo Maristra, Tita, a Jinsentico, and a Tenshila Teni Chongaro said that Kusugalam Tintika resistant, but let Joagon at night, what of the Joagon at Stambalo to some Chichigua, what it is.
Great, thank you. And let's go to room 2, group 2.
Okay, room 2.
Yes.
We have shared several ideas, and I will just, go with one. Our prompt idea is more like a general rather than, going to one specific one. So it has more to do with something like how evolution fits with rebirth and how natural selection is similar to karma or something like that. The reason why we choose is that, evolution actually happens over time with modification, with changes, and also rebirth actually comes in different forms of living being, and in that sense there's a little bit space to compare in terms of their characteristics and their traits and all these things. And the karma and the natural selection, in the evolution it seems the natural selection is the some kind of some kind of factor that really determines whether the living beings actually survive or not, or whether the genes will pass to generation to generation or not. And in Buddhism, the karma action has so much to do with that, and whether the individual born in a better living, a better livelihood, or being born in a higher realm or lower realm or something like that. So in that sense, specifically aiming to the Buddhist monks, we thought this is some kind of prompting idea to write some journals or something like that.
That is wonderful. Thank you. And
Anybody there, Kosoga, Gishila, Swat, Kosoga, that I am to on the what they could this judge Hamburg on Layashayus, that on what the Kalana to Penju setting at to get that you Jimachua Lanch or a Titan or S. or that Kachlana, Penjugan on Ayako, Penjugan on other Kora, Mampu, which is Latin Chunga so years ago, or what in Anshang at to get Jiwa Yang Langatia, when Jirot and Dramada take or touch on Dramada Langi or what in Anshang could and drive church dos this Tambala and a joy or Mando kind of stagger in best and Yotilang to get Rangshung and Damdu setting at Suge, Legion written out the kind of sticky best of Rangshung and Damdik name Banang at Suge, Kugashin Mampuchi or Tangatsuke, Chigata, as a Kugi, the Trotin Yashin Banako, and it got Tunjir Chinity in Banako, that Sudo Chit Crescendo Chiora, that in Anshang Atsuya, Chiwaya Polema and Satian, Kangatsu Lay Satila Rally Research or this Tambalan Kulaya, now judge to this Tambalan, then you pardon the work under straight up in Bessa, Latina Roach Johnson's.
great. How about room 3?
Oh, again, though.
No, that's all.
Oh, that the room 3 the answer this year, bro. Ne room 3 the Tanda the again, Gishilodo Sampo Sune the test door good over the Chagdora, that the Samtu dish show. The Nangchu Tone Shebarina, the Jimbaton Longju Jungure, and it's Surim Song want to Ladami Bobang Tokure Serva. And that under the young Pingutan to walk and the Doji Chagin, and Jimba. And Tangwaina, Longju Abu Jungure, Surim Songwaina, and want to Ladami Bobang Tokure Lyro. That the said Dilla, that Jimba Abu Tangbaina, and it Surim Song, and that Chigadilla, and Kaza Surimi Abu Masumba, and Surimi Abu Masumba Jetta, Zojigile Lagido. That Zojigile, the Abu Majumba, Kewachima de la Anne, Ladami Gobam Matovache, and young the Tudu and the Negi, and Kewale and the and Sungora Pena, that Karsa, and Mizan Chubu, the Lion Key pe ane kimong kidin yora mizang chubu kidin zo ta kunjul ane 조직이 레게 wangi ko ane ki kewa lenso res kewa ngama de kunjo jimba shuk jimba tangwala tene ko kunjo la ane jimbe ane dibu de la longcho yabu jungware mizang chimbo le ke kunjo zayatuna de bebelulu jungware ina ane tsuri yabo jimba jungwala tene kurang zo kar ke lana ane tudu ane dikke res ne ta dine jisungo ta di ane pengyur dan dewa kande dawaji yonggu na peje yongsa re samsam de ko dine jinlas.
There is pretty much similar to the idea that shared by Geshe Sambola. It's about like karma in the Buddhism when they say like you make offerings, so like you give food or things to the other people in the life, in your personal life, you will have abundance of material things in next life. And also, if you keep the discipline well, and you will have you will reborn in higher realms. But also in that context, they said if you accumulate the bad karma at the end, or you just break the if you break the discipline at the end, you will reborn in a lower realm. For instance, when they say like the pet dogs in a big family, they say like the dog was doing a really great job and then offering things to other in his life, but at the end, like the final stage, the dog didn't do well, so was born in a dog life instead of a higher like human or other like a god realms. So the dog has abundance of material things in that rich home because of lots of things to eat, but born as a dog instead of a human or like higher realm. So like so how this is connected with the evolution, so pretty much similar to the karmic effect.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it really stood out to me with that one about the timing too.
Yeah.
I think that could be an interesting, like unique part of that prompt, since it's saying, you know, when something happens right at the end. So I'll write that there. How does the timing? I don't know if this is the
yes.
Right, the timing.
In Buddhism, when we talk about the karma, actually we talk about two different types of karma. The first one is propelling karma. Propelling karma means if you accumulate propelling karma to be born in a dog, then such as, you know, if you accumulate propelling karma to be born in a human being, and another type of the karma is completing karma. So completing karma, if you accumulated propelling karma to be born a human, but at the end, the completing karma becomes some kind of, you know, being born in a dog, then that really, you know, shifts the propelling karma. So in that sense, what he was saying is that the dogs being born in a rich family, you know, who kept the dog as a pet, those dogs are said to have accumulated lots of generosity in the previous life, but they didn't actually keep their moral codes, and because of that, they born in the form of dog, but because of their generosity, because of their being generosity in the past, they born in the, you know, rich family and get so much, you know, nutrition from the rich family or something like that.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's helpful. So I added that in there, the propelling and completing karma.
I think one thing that you can do with this, when there's a lot of conversation about something, so the question of how does karma relate to evolution is perhaps too large a question, right? There are many ways that it does, and you could work on that question for quite a long time in your journal. So a good idea to always suggest the students leave that left-hand page blank in the beginning and only take their notes on the right-hand side, for instance, so that they are leaving space where they can consider these huge questions. And as the lessons are going on day by day, they can continue to add to that space on the left-hand side. There will be room there. So make sure you leave physical space in your journal to consider these large questions, because they will take too long to consider in one evening. You know, like you will think of things during the day, the next day, or maybe the next lesson that will relate. You will have new ideas. And it is a place like a vessel that they can hold all those ideas, right? A place they can put them so they don't forget them, because you think you will remember them, but you forget them, you know, and then you have a place you can store them. And that will always be like in one side of the journal, for instance. And then there's always space there. So I think some of these questions, they're wonderful prompts. They just need more space. And then you make sure you leave that for them.
Also late in the late on conductor or say to a judging sure what is the ballet casing gala swan sensitive cups a sholaya and the carriage said it ne shoot it on Palashava in Bana ne tanda to the judging in some shamachilla some look her do you must some look her do with the maris to go Yamakashina Korea Sanu Sawales Tambalaya and it cannot just like such a bugua then Stambalaya and it draw did a judging Tambalaya Sinchiga and Shotelaya ni Tompasha ni Samlu Sawa Kogo Samlu Natalechiga in Kotosa Nyeke Yonshotina Kalu to Kanu Jab Chinet Goresta Yonshoka such a Tombate to Pambanda which said of Pambando and Nudo which could have a banati Nataleco Katu Chichalando and Yepaina Samlu Sara Yepaina Tina Chukuchikin and Kuyores.
So you are also.
So how about so just for time, I think
sorry, go ahead. Next
yeah,
group.
it's just to do the activities. I think I want to make sure we keep hearing from each team. And so I think we're on room 4.
Yeah, Shiva.
Oh, there's Zamula. Tangazugi, Taxidan, something is less that Toto the Chindirisha. Dangazo, Pegu Lejoron, Pegu Koran Kandarelation, and the Pegu Karsa, Pung Dance evidence, body doing in none. This is among motor that any page say the Chidan and Nazu than the Tanya Koran and Nazunan choose them. The Chidan is some done much peggy or the mother in the Koran city and the King Koran and the Shikadan Karsa, Rab Mamburin like King some Tundu to the casual TV any Choji Yoamiana, Chodu Yoa, and not Yoa the Jibri good and DNA the Arin Mambuch Sugu. This is among motor about Terra and Tijala any Kung and the Kung Dundi among motor change and Tijala Anzoya, head and JVG. Jabjon, Nanchugi, this Koto Yudizamba, and an unsame Gitola and Piju Gidin Namsha Yunguri Yungumares, Tidanium the Yadring Datan and to said jam, those body and journal chechedo, Shugu Punjan Shan, chicken, the Kings in the
lots of teacher. Their prompt is kind of interesting because, like, given the lecture about evolution, all the context and all the meaning and all the evidence, the seven evidence, let the monks know about all these things, and then their question is, can you apply this this notion to the evolution of mind, not like the physical body, but can you apply this notion of evolution to mind? So they prompt with that using the same like side of the notebook mentioned by Anna to the left side of the notebook. So yeah,
yeah, I think that's great. Anytime that we're thinking about applying these concepts in a new context, you know, especially like physical and mental, I think that those are really interesting questions.
Any have
about room 5?
Like our group, we discussed about artificial breeding. So like prompt sentence like tomato with long shelf life and watermelon with no seeds, you know, such kind of things script up. Like artificial breeding we can do, and we can train such organisms, GMO organisms, such thing. And then virus, like they mutate to, virus mutating to different drugs, that kind of question popped up when we talk about artificial breeding.
So maybe exploring the relationship or similarities and differences between artificial breeding and mutation.
Natural, yeah. kind of it's more about breeding kind of thing, ma'am, like
Okay.
GMO.
The Kotsude de Shagazuge artificial selection system, but Watanga Mizu, Jumigi in them to Segrota, Migizo Shachurota, Jumig in them to Chola, and the Jupichi or Titan, and Chimatsuga de Orota, Ranchon them to Cananico, Young Conjura, or what the Padolaya mutation set an injury, Ninja said that Ranjingi Juran Duachorota, or the Parolaya, and the Timbichatum and Timbichakari Pati, the Duratians.
Okay, great, thank you. So I think, yeah, we've got several rooms, actually, so room 6.
Hello, just delay. From our group, we have few questions, but one of it is already covered over here regarding the evolution of mind and consciousness, how it is related to the evidences of evolution. But one of question which I found, even though we didn't got a time to discuss and choose which question to share with the group, but then I think one question which I found quite interesting is the question that Calvin asked. He was talking about imperfection. So during Miguel's talk, he talked about like the shift of concept from Aristotle to the present day evolution, where it talks about descent with modification, and then he also talked about how imperfect species are. So Calvin was asking, how does this concept actually make sense in their own understanding for the students? So the question could be like, what do you understand by imperfection in the species, or like descent with a modification with imperfection, something like open-ended question.
Okay.
Yeah, and my own question is that is about like, from all these evidences, what do you found most interesting, which is very much in resonance with the Buddhist concept, or maybe what is the concept which found you so like stuck, like maybe so shocking, which is totally out of your like understanding? So, and try to explain why do you think these are two different, like so different. Something for students to like go through and explore and think more about it.
Yes, okay, great, thank you. And that one, especially the one that's number 7, that's a great one. It's very broadly applicable. Some of these, are specific, but you can use that in many settings.
I will briefly just translate briefly because say that so they and ngasuge kesan gelan the terms tambala ya chun yures go wada ngasuge penji chung go da ina nirila ya chun ton den baris chun me chutin yo mari say ti kapsi chuge chun ton me ba say de ani kanado chile kwalangi yes ngasu chiga penjun dugu yore rujiti sima pegi yore telen juran dugu ren juran duga kansla ya chon yore say de kandas kwalangi be say de chiche nyodila ya ani kusuge karsugureta dandage penjur gi pantana na ko mando din duga mando din yo bategi nangni ani chiga nangche tang rewa zugiya suguro dan nangchorong la chona nangche tang ani rewa ti zugla she tang yana nangche tang thani she ati ni chi kangirin du say de kangla ni chi attractions.
Great, so we'll hear from each of the 3 more rooms, and we will go on to our second activity for learning by visuals. So we are on room 7.
Yeah, record them back. Go ahead.
Lugar tumbasura nganzo lugar kuba isansi ina mena tata statement. Ken kejo nganzo kuba re.
Kuba?
Yeah,
Fine.
I'm not sure. That's why I'm asking. Okay.
Oh,
okay.
You're
Yes.
Yeah, Kuba.
7분 전이다 누가 누가.
야, 7분 전 안중님들이 구발해.
아니. 토하기 때문에서.
Number 7.
7은
before we started. Wow, I'm not sure which group we belong to, but I'm pretty sure it's around 7, I think. All right, here we go. So we had a little idea about what our next generation would like. Suppose, okay, with regard to the family tree which we established, when you discuss that our future generation will have more baldness, which is genetic base, and also have more hair related stuffs. So giving a journal regarding what our next generation will be like, from experience from ourselves at the present as well as from our past. Usually we relate with the genetic disorder or genetic disease, but right now we were looking at more of physiological aspect, like baldness, this thing, more hair related stuff. I think that's pretty much the sums of what we had to discuss. Thank you.
그 속에 대대로서 침직의 동분이 따라와 단다 소수의 시샤네 소수게다 파마다 보보모 여러 와다 되게 침직 동부들의 시샤대당 마음바기 다 소수가 디스거라 소수가 다 되게 그 땅은 초사무티즈 그렇게 가나로 지정설에서 해서와 어디 가라야지 아니 초거지야지로 어때 인스.
Great, thank you. And this, the way I wrote it here is making predictions. I think those are always really good prompts. And room 8. Oh, I don't know what happened. Okay, room 8.
루카 제바.
We can also go to Gupa if we need to, maybe if room 8 isn't here. Yeah, okay, let's do that. Well, maybe we'll hear from group 8 in the next one. How about Gupa? Cheyang, I know we already found out you're in that group.
루카 구바 당겨 만보도 왔다 단다 신임이는 가지고 배셔 아니 줘야
I will do. So our group we discussed about the evidence of the fossil evidence. In this respect, we discuss about the different perspective from the different journals. We go through all the different types of journals related with all the geographical fact, different status of geology, and then we discuss with the students, how the geological status and strata, and then different layers of geology and the fossil, how we can relate all these two and find the evidence, and through fossil, carbon-14 dating or different types of explore scientific exploration about the fossil and the connection between the geology. So this is how we come up with all this idea, the prom idea for the students.
그소대도 대한 속에 다지 상kam게 딱도당 사게 처럼지고 어와 되게 나라 아니 저도디 간다도 지금 얘기요메다 다띠당 상kam게 처럼 름바 만다고 나나 요쪽에 름바 만다올라 요쪽에당 아니 아까서 그랬대 저도게 리서치가 왔더로 양로치가 왔다 되게 바로라야 저와 간다도 지금 메스 버와다 어떻게 걸라 아니 지트와트데 당 되가라 네
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. That's a great one too. And also I saw in the chat, thanks for putting in there that term biogeography. That's great. So thank you everyone. And I will put these into the chat so you have them as well.
That last one might be an especially good one for a drawing, because there are the layers in the geography that you were speaking of. So you might ask students to use different kinds of journal entries, right, in their answers. Make sure they do some drawing.
That draw Tama some Tamade Karskurata, the Hopper, and is Susu Centri type cups of Centrina like removed by Natrapea or Seres, Sagi, Dutch Rumba Manda Tirua, Tina Rumba Koala and Jedu Karika and Yesha Sachgorwa, or the remote Napea or Seres.
All right, great. So, like I said, for today, we're going to kind of do 2 different teaching techniques. Now, we've just covered some journal prompts, and I think we've got a lot of great ideas for those. And now, and this one will be a bit shorter, but we're going to do a small activity using some images and visuals for prompting some discussion. And for this, we're going to use the link that Miguel gave us yesterday, and I put it in the chat again, so you can click on it if you are able to. And for this, we'll go back to breakout rooms. I think we'll do new ones, perhaps just so that we have an even amount of people. Okay.
Tanda di sheturwa, tanda di chintong kursatina tele di chiga chawaga chatach kurduwa, this was sugata nanchi te taro, chis kasangela, megala tanju teretwa.
And in the chat, it has the instructions for what you'll do while you're in the breakout room. The first thing is to just choose an organism. There's many there, so you'll just choose one. Then you can discuss 2 things. One is how the structures of the animal relate to the function that the structure is for. And the second thing is to talk about in what ways is that organism well suited, or it's a good fit for living in its environment.
Tanda dignanirwa, ta Karichigor system, but Yanchitanda Chinton Site what Joasum the Wata, Tandagdinana Chetsugi Tratoted Nemba in Bana, Tiganalaya, and Chingi Mambuchi Restra, or Tiganan Chingi Kanchi Damrochis, Ra, Chingichi Damrochis, Damnugelaya, Nichingi Degi, Koranga, that Chokosogro, Passagrata, Yanlox and Yanlox Corta, Yanla Kangichu, and Korangi. Ani sheli tang rewa dus terwa nga su chakotang sheli pa bu rewa chua o tiga porti ani deshi jaru chis ani tiga chela ya ani tanda nitan tinda de gane ani kar sukureta chingwe te khura nesa ge khori te la ya nya ge cheterwa ani khura la ya ni thya de kangi ge zo sha swa te kola ya tu de chiro chis.
And this time, I think for time, we won't be able to hear from every group, so I think we'll ask for just 3 volunteers once we return.
Tanda de la nga su ge chula ya samlo dang de tan yang che chama yang stambala chama la de se jaga ko kete ani te khapo chi do tin stambala ya ani chi tanglang ga ne de se janyo ba na mi sang de se jana de yes.
And I think you can join now. So I hope that you all were able to have some good discussion about your organisms. As I mentioned, for this time, let's just we'll just hear from 3 of you. So and I'll share so that we can look at the organisms together. And if someone would like to be our first volunteer, that would be wonderful.
Today yapu chong periwa yes tanda misam la kukanang yes ani tangbote la yang nguto chini yo pa na tangbote sembe nguto nalanans.
Okay, I think we will go first because ours is number 1, group 1. And also we had some very interesting discussion, and we couldn't decide whether to choose cactus or chameleon because both are very interesting. And I think I will go with chameleon because it's a very interesting subject. And also it looks a little bit like me as well. So the main reason is that it can camouflage with this environment. So I think it is one thing that helps it stay safe in the environment, and also its movement is very slow. So I think the metabolism help because it means that very less energy is exerted to it, so it helps him as well. And also it's eye can move to 360 degrees, so this can help it from predators. So and yeah, so something like that. So I think it's very interesting.
Kusugi Damiati and the Shibati Dambayins, Tangasu Zombagare del Hapart Kurangi and Dolaya and Jurandutku or $1 in Jurandutko Stambalaya Mish, Dola and Jurandus Tambalash and the Sani Yaviala, Ne Pentuko, Retina Shingi Yankoga, Samasatang than Yanko New Sheet of Peshutamogat in the Yoretingalaya, and meet the Yankun Dunton Jam Chalata, you meet it in Stambalaya, Chumamputoya, Nishandala, Karsu, make it. So that would you caps pension would have in the Yoris.
Great, thank you. And how about a second volunteer?
Anybody patios?
Oh yeah, Gindawala, Tanganzo group Geba in la.
Oh.
Ani Tanda the Ganzo group Geba di Tanda the cactus, your cactus titola, ani Tatambarita, ani cactus lady Conzochita. Tawa di Rambodo, ani Tasta ding on Pazu the Samarta Koran, ani Sonia Tavella, ani Chudi Tagus and Tawe Dingnima, and the Chudi Tingi. In young Koran, and Zopta di Korganata, Samarango in the Mambo Yodi Tambala, and tell it in the Chumambo Pachulo Lewis Samarata, Koran Chu Yartajela, and the Samarango the Chapodojan and Chudi Lugi Mewache. In a young Koran, need to what the Kandas in the Chumari Ladilla, and SMJ Mamboji that day Samarango Tola de the Kanaka, the Koran, Tony, I would do a rest, Tangola in it. I was going to good rest, but
So the cactus, it has what they said, it has a deep root with to like absorb water from the ground, and it's also like with the physical structure above the ground, it has a thorning like structures. What it says is that helps them to keep the water inside. The thorn part is really hard, so water is really difficult to escape. And also with the thorn, the other animals, it's kind of difficult for other animals to eat this thorny bush or cactus. So yeah, the explanations like that.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And I think that's a good, you made it list the structures in this organism, and then you can kind of match them up with their functions. And third volunteer.
Yeah, chilling issue. Okay, we choose giraffe, and since it has a long neck and it can reach to tall tree to grab its food and leaves. We think the giraffe can survive and feed in an environment where there is so much grasses and trees, but not in a deep forest, because in the deep forest there are so many predators and that will kill them, and but survive better in a open pasture with lots of grass, and also having a more trees, not very deep forest like trees, but having good enough food to grab. And so in that sense, the giraffe also we thought about the temperature, since this giraffe does not have so much fur. Maybe it survives better in a temperature where there is not very hot, but some kind of moderate temperature scale or something like that.
Tena kusa dame te shawa kirang damba ins ko kirang bo ye sanro ane chi shindong tumbo te la gane loma saya da te la rola tangi yores ane ti shenda te ko korang ke de sa imba na chi shinna tupu ma imba chi na sayang yo chu shinna te tis yo chu te la rola imba na roa ane kusu tsudo chi yores ta shinna tupu na yo pa imba na yang sanyi te la yorwa ta sanyi te la Jensen Sani in the rope, young by na, chicken reala capu or what is Tambalaya, Chisacheco Yampo, and it Shin Yopakashila to major what and it contact you to the road. And then Banakoso, and you could say any by Nayanchiga, Tawa Tawushita major, Yanchiga, Kutsugala, or the Pushita Mestambalaya, Tawa Tawushita major, Tawachiga, and Din some Sagurata, Tinado Sanila, Nekutsunachi dus.
Great, thank you. And I think I have just one point that I'm going to highlight that I sort of noticed as being common in all three of these examples is that you have really mentioned here the relationship between the structure and function of the organisms and their environment. So that means it's not that it's always the best to be either fast or slow, or always the best to, have a long or a short neck. All of these things depends on the interactions between the organism and the environment.
Katun by Nanko, Koritan Yamton, Joa Katuna, Pachis, Nistambala, and the Chesuga, Chocotan Chilling and Decision, Koritan Yanko, Joa Piggy, something to ship of chansons.
All right, so thank you everybody for all of your sharing. We are now going to be ready to do our third and final activity for our session today.
So now
is the time that we're going to get to combine the two things we've been doing. So we did some review and we got some experience now with talking about journaling, and we got to just do this brief activity, but using the images, using visuals to kind of add to the discussion. And now I am going to pass this on to you, and in your breakout rooms, what you'll do is you will come up with your own idea for a lesson that you could teach that is going to be a combination of both of these things. So you can be creative, but just something that you might do that includes some journaling and also something with an image, picture, visual, something like that.
Ani sinchichi de tangso chikana do chigiyo pachikoro lobin kana chigiyo patin de sijayus chegu tampo tina la ya chegu nyo tina la ya nga sugi ta paris ta ya chigoro nga chumi ke thma yu chugi ni tadra do de sijade te tiga to the chores ta simba de la ya ta tanda chisu karchane susu ngoni ta lepati susu lepati ro ta samnu tang de te susu ge ani tenni chan nyam te tete tang de te ani zinta thya chigoro zinta thya chi yongorwa tigi kala ya ani chi Tinado Galaya, Canado Chigi Besa Chorata, Joshile, Joshitina Laya, Joshichidam, Joshitelaya, Susuki, Sinchiagi, Nitatia, Pecheta, Casilaya, remove Chatayana, remove Pecheta, Nian Pecheta Chora, Peter Pecheta, Tinado Yopa, and then Yamdig on the Canado Pecheta, or Tinado with Nitachil, some tongue of cheese, within our towns.
So there's the sort of directions in the chat there for you, and what we'll do again, so I set the timer for 7 minutes, and then we'll come back and just hear from a few volunteers again, because also for time we won't be able to hear from everyone, but we'll hear from those that we can.
So I think tangsa te na la ya ni chesuge Twitter Canada si chigore karigala samtangor se te patricia yes ni ngaso chabaina ani chamala kukena kabodusia chigtanglang kan lekicha sheni khasho mer se shero nasta tanda de karido ani chesuge kshozla ya tsanrikin zende tip caps ani chi sentri tabya tang ani chi parla so patenya gi tablanda ni nyamte ani kasugureta Peshetang de Tang Thompson Chiagi, Thompson Chango Chiagi, Talaya, Samlakan Rochitang base, Gonsa Karikarios, dinner
time. Welcome back. Let's see if we have everyone. Yeah, looks good. Okay, so hopefully you had a chance to talk about some fun and creative ideas. so that you can have this combination of the journal and also some images and visuals in a lesson plan. I think for time, we will do the same thing. We'll just hear from 3 volunteers, and then we'll wrap up for today, since we'll have another session tomorrow. So who would like to be our first volunteer?
값으로 왔다다가 순전히 TV 값 신지지야다 아니 지금 벌을라 년을라 소파때 지고라 때니차 냠트 배셔당데 저런 거 삼천지 지지단발 삼천기 전고대 간다로 지지기 메시지로 왔다데 걸라 삼도 삼스크라가리 예스티 걸라 지수들이하고 나요게 레스타 단다티 단발라 단다티 네 단랑간에 미심치게도 못나로 제스 네 디지랑 아슬란신데 잡아지기 인생 산영 아순전다 요레스 Talang Pesho.
아니 녀슈샤가니
어야
민두르와 알았어 다다징 아주 루카나라 페제 아니 아주 파리다 아니도 신도 게디다 도스 칸니숨도 도스라 아니 카시게니 페나 아주 페나 원사기 체릭 라비칼라 아주 레파기 파토치샤 아니 레파기 파르기 차베 차셰 레레키타 밍딘즈코 밍딘즈코ン 밍디 코 자와 카레카레 이미드스테치 디토네치카 디시게츠 당하라 파리다 아니 제가 신지도 니가토네 주스 지당도 지도도 라이직 도송 아니 니바디 댕아서 페나 치기다 아니 로마 지신기 로마 이바이나 로마 티나 신동질라 다 로마 마다마다 용대다 아니 신동질라야 로마 체중된데 아니 게데디 로마니 퍼르라 캬바요 오 딘데도 다 아니 도스 디와타메토네 도스 신도 게체데 아니 파리다 신도 니가토네 도스 아니 로플라 못 라이케다 도스 삼서도 중동 시슈에
what they discuss is about 2 things. First, for instance, when you teach neuroscience, you let them draw a picture of a brain and the part and the names and the functions, and in the like drawing and the naming and write down all the functions, so like combination of drawing, visual, and taking notes, so they can learn better in that way. And the second is like, for instance, you go outside and find like different leaves from a tree, and then observe and write that down in the notes in your journaling to see like what different types of leaves on a single tree, or what might be the causes behind the functions, or like might be the causes behind the differences on the leaves on a single tree. So that kind of thing can be used in the lesson plans.
Yes, I think that's great to actually go out and do the observations. That's wonderful. How about our second volunteer?
Okay, I will present some of idea from our group. So we talked a little bit about like if we teach a class on our fitness, so fitness and it's related with the adaptation. So we will bring the photo of giraffe, and then how like this giraffe is survive in like certain kind of environment as we see in the photo. So and this one then from this topic, then student will let to make some. We will bring some like a photo from Darwin's research paper, and like some photo which is related with the fitness, and then make questions about how the giraffe is survive in a like certain kind of environment. And then also we can study about, like is all giraffe is same like this? We can set up some different temperature, and if the higher temperature, the giraffe maybe the hair is more shorter, and then is like how to say is not that much hot temperature, then the giraffe might be like the hair is more longer. And also is we can compare between like camel and giraffe. It is survive in desert. So then you can let the student draw some diagram like a certain different environment, and then different like the giraffe and also other animal, and then compare why, for example, the camel is not survive in a like in here in India, and also like for Africa where it's tree. So what is what is come up? Why is so because of the like in adaptation or like the adaptation, right? So we discuss about it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Tandade dola shiba imbana kosuge pitsun shi ta pichashana ngatsu shawa kiranda uchila pitsun shabana pariten ane kurang chechu karakari chirendo saya chorwa istambala ku sachang ni kenchila ya sangkhang chechu ngin khori ngin chila tsunu chigwe ge junsen karakari res tem sebe ane tang royo chu percenta chorwa ta sani tang sacha mando ge ya koge shawa kiranga pratinda kyon de tang kola ya chechu manda karichtu chiku sacha tresala sacha chawachi sala sta putwa tang sacha tis ya chi chawa chongsala pi ro do doem doe anti nanshinge ani ko kasugre da sacha tila chudo chiala ya chechu kari la tani chongarwe yana sanchin shenda to nyant chongder chia chigora pichashana ani ngatsuge ngamon to nyam to chongder chiala so patina do mampu chiche ani teta ko khori mandola netan kanda do chi jig do sa teta ani dus trigger wada remove trigger shiga remove nani ne hapat ko chondar chiya gi chechu teta ani simtila ko chiga tinda chayins.
And this is also, just to reiterate, this is a great example of including generating hypotheses, and you can sort of include that in some of the journaling, and so that was a really good example for that.
That dinane ke chishi ka chagor se stambala dinda chondar chiyon stambala chetsu draw ton chopa kansila yang chosha chia chigorwa and dinda la tende dinda chigresha se ge chosha chia tiang ke chambu chagor tiang asu sinti tribu kapsige yang ko nonton ke chambu chi chag yores.
I wanted to say one way to include each of these questions, you are asking many questions for the students. And there is the method where you have think, pair, share. You have maybe heard this teaching method before, think, pair, share. And so when you ask one of your many questions, you ask them to think about it and to write in their journal first. So quiet time in the classroom, think about it and write in your journal your answers. Then have them get together as a pair and share what they had thought about, and then as the whole group together. And so you can use the journal in the classroom, right? Not just at home, but in the classroom. When you ask a question, give them some quiet time to stop and think about it and write in their journals, and then share what they wrote in their journals.
Tiage sonsen type manager to graduates as teachers tambote samletang senior thing as a charity that on somebody like me gender legislature that the capsicum chetuge tandagin decisions stumble man chichi draw mampotak was draw mampotam stumble tampo draw tang set capsa and it zintaganane loptila draw tang jila tampo samletang chikores so kusulaya to this chite kusmeg to this chite susu draw the lankari imbate and the simchi like trichikures the jelaya and me shenda tanyam to chadu predo jelaya tamatela and juto chesakorta zindragin dandone and it's milaya mutu chechgorwa again neton chungore instabalaya sinti system inchimichi karsugorda nala son chigwadina yomaris zindrag cups swing chinchite data yang samna tangashi sinti chichina and gores.
Great. So in our last, we've got 3 minutes. So just short, we'll hear from one more person, and then I'll let you know what we're going to do tomorrow, and then we will be good to go. So third and last volunteer for today.
Kamasundus, ani tondo didi sonyegi talas mbati tanrochis, ani ti sawatan ani sanyang asunzadana karichigin bati motochigins.
Ni dudu jishura again.
Lasso. Oh yeah, lasso.
Ane dinganzu ruwadana ane pari te parichik de ane gyamiri chembache ane parichik de nucho miri chembache kayasana ta gyamiri de chiongge chan ane subu chonjong ro ane ta nucho mi den zo ane chiongge chan yang subu chembo de na ta ro ane ta dingi parala ane khebar 슈라티 다 핑규 톤 쉐바이나 다 고리울라 라레버베 칼라라 라레버베 아니 야메나 그런 게 갈서 다 메보여라 메볼라 라레버레스 메볼라 라레버 임바이나 아니 메보다 두주 가와데지네 아니 갈서 다디 규라디 컨데스 용바레스 오딘데 시티오리
Well, so support from Goma, their point is they will show a two picture of two people, one Chinese man and one Western person. Usually Chinese people are short and the Western are kind of physically big. And what they are going to ask is like through evolution, what are the factors that they become such? Is it because of their diet and food and environment, or because of the genes that pass from the ancestors? So they will ask the question and let the student to write in their journal.
Great, thank you. And such a good connection to tomorrow's topic. So we've been talking about evolution yesterday and today. And just so you know what to expect for tomorrow, we will hear from 2 additional biology faculty, and we're going to shift the focus from mostly talking about evolution to talking more about genetics and epigenetics.
Ni sanye bana ya ngazu gigen ani pede ta ani rigje dan rigjin diri ko la ya ni dus sanze tigres.
Yeah, so thank you all so much. We will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tochina.
Kaso, ani Thomas sanyi jeyo. Kaso.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.